Welcome to the Wrestling Podcast that's not just for wrestling fans. This is Smark Friends on lovewrestling.ca. My name is Zach and I'll be your host. If you follow myself or Love Wrestling or any of our team members that love wrestling on social media, you know that this is a very big week for us because this Friday, Love Wrestling in association with Force Pro Wrestling present our very first live wrestling event. I'm of course talking about Change the Game, presented in Edmonton, Alberta. This is going to be live from the Rec Room and available on Love Wrestling's Twitch channel, and it all takes place this Friday. Tomorrow, in fact, if you're watching this on the original air date of the Smark and Friends podcast. My guest today is going to be very heavily featured at the event. He's going to be sitting alongside Alexia, Nicole, and Thaddeus Archer III at the commentary table. He's the co-host of the Toby and Warren Show on the Bear 100.3. Mr. Warren Diesel Barris joins me on the Smark and Friends podcast. We're going to talk about Warren's life in radio before we take a deep dive into Change the Game. But before I do so, I'd be remiss not to thank the good people who make this show possible and all the other amazing content at lovewrestling.ca. Yes, my cat is bothering me. He's trying to play with the cables and trying to knock over my water bottle. Apologize for that. But once again, I'm going to thank the good people at RK Athletics. Whatever your fitness goals are, these are the people to reach out to because they've got online resources. They've got personal training options. Of course, if you're in Edmonton, that is, and just amazing health and safety techniques, all designed to help you achieve your fitness goals. RK Athletics, whether you want to DM them at RK Athletics 1 or contact via the website, rkathletics.ca, do so, reach out, start chasing your fitness goals today. We're back with Warren Diesel Barris right after this message.
Yo! We're the Boros Twins.
I'm the world's sweetest man, Gentleman Jervis.
This is God's gift to wrestling, Michael Richard Blaze.
This is Chelsea Green.
And we love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
Oh, we're going to see a superplex powerbomb!
Just coming up to the building, Colton Kelly. Colton, I am sorry to interrupt your cigarette, my friend.
If they weren't the MVPs of pandemic wrestling, then I honestly don't know who are.
Of course, we did want to give everybody a bit of a rundown on what you can expect here on Love Wrestling through 2021 and beyond.
This crowd is going bananas!
I'm Spencer Love, and this is Love Wrestling.
And we are back. Joining me from Edmonton, home of Love Wrestling, ex-Force Pro Wrestling, Change the Game, co-host of the Toby and Warren Show with Warren and Toby on 100.3, The Bear, Warren Diesel Barris. How you doing, friend?
Fantastic, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you. It's always great to connect with people across the on the other side of Canada, and with Change the Game coming up, it's the opportune moment to do so.
Absolutely, man. It's the power of the internet. This stuff never ceases to amaze me that we can do stuff like this now, right? Like it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, can you imagine if we had to go through COVID without the internet and couldn't connect with people?
I thought about that often. The things that we would have to do, and it would just have been the worst. But luckily, we had the internet to at least give us something to do.
I don't know. We'd have to read a book or something. Ugh.
Yeah, awful.
I'm actually going to be in Edmonton for a very short time for Change the Game and whatnot. When I'm out there, aside from Change the Game, of course, what should I be seeing?
Depends what you're into, I guess. I mean, we have the mall. We have the world's North America's, but I forget where it landed now. But it's one of the biggest malls in the world this year. So that might be something you might want to check out. I don't know. Are you a sports fan, hockey fan? I mean, the NHL season's getting going tomorrow, so.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, everyone keeps referring to the mall. That's like the easy go-to, I think. But yeah, something to consider, certainly.
I don't know, down. It's a weird question to answer, and I never feel like I have the right answer just because I've lived here my whole life. That I'm like, that's a great place to, just because it's always been there. You know what I mean? Like it's a tough thing to pick off, but I'm sure. I mean, you can go pretty much anywhere. You'll probably have a good time.
Awesome. I am looking forward to it, even if I am just in town for a cup of coffee, more or less. But yeah, let's talk radio. How long have you been working in the radio game?
I first went to school. So there's a program here in Alberta, in Edmonton, at the NAIT, Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. And I went into that. There's a radio program there in 2012, January. And it's like a 3-semester, and then your 4th semester is a practicum type deal. So about a 2-year program. And so I got out of there the end of, or I guess technically halfway through 2013, and have been doing it ever since. So it's been something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. My dad was actually on the radio. I used to listen to him when I was a kid. So it was something that I was like, that seems like fun and not a real job. So I picked it, and now here I am.
Second generation radio talent. That's a bit of a feather in the cap.
Yeah, and you know what? I like the branding of that, which is what I stick with as well. Second generational radio superstar, if you will. But yeah, no, it's something that he tried to get me to not do because he knows the struggles of working in radio. But I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything. It's an absolute blast.
Right on. It's the wrestling fan in you that gravitated towards that second generation superstar marquee.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
Very wise, very wise. Toby and Warren Show, how did that come to be? Like, did you guys maybe audition separately, or is it something you came into just, individually?
Yeah, it did. I've been at 100.3 The Bear for my entire career. Luckily, I mean, I'm fortunate. I'm of the fortunate few. A lot of people in radio, you kind of start, usually anyway, you'll start in remote small towns and kind of, work your way up the ladder. And not to say that I'm better than those people, because I still don't think I'm very good at what I do. I just was the right place, right time. But I did my practicum at the Bear, and they kept me. The guy that I worked with, Lachlan Cross was his name, kept me around for whatever reason, and it stuck. And then he ended up leaving, and then Scott McCord came in. I got to be on a show with him called The Funhouse, which was an absolute blast as well. And then he got the call up to the morning show. And then that was when our boss brought Toby in, and that was 4 years ago now. And it's been honestly some of the best times of my life. Me and him, just from like day one, we clicked. It was a weird thing that just happened, and we're like the best of friends now. And he doesn't even like wrestling, which is the crazy part. I've been trying this whole time because he's a big MMA guy. So I've been like, okay, I got you a little bit. I can get you there, but he hasn't flipped yet. But we'll get there eventually with him.
So you've got it on the hook. You've got the hook. You've got the bait, as it were, with the MMA lead.
The claws are in a little bit. We just got to really sink them in there, and then see. And here's a funny story: is that he used to love wrestling back in when he was growing up, as we all did when we were kids, right? Just kind of grew out of it. He has a great story that he grew up in Red Deer, which is just south of Edmonton, and WWF at the time was running a show at the I believe it's the Red Deer Corral, smaller venue, but they were running like a house show, and Razor Ramon was his favorite wrestler, but of course he was the bad guy. So a young, I think he said between 8 and 10-year-old Toby goes up to and asks him for a autograph, and he does his usual, "Okay, man, I'll see you after the show." And so young Toby's sitting there with his pen and paper waiting, and he just doesn't show up and left. And he still to this day is like, "I hate that guy." And I was like, he was a heel. That's what no, I don't care. I was 10 years old, and he broke my heart, and I'm never gonna. So he still holds a little bit of ill will, I think, towards old Razor.
That's hilarious. That's a solid reason to hold a grudge that they didn't show up for you as a kid. Yeah,
like you're waiting. It's like just a tragic tale of him just sitting there crying, probably, right, with his little pen and paper. Like, he didn't show up.
So what specific wrestling are you trying to show Toby to entice him to come back into the fold?
Well, obviously Brock Lesnar would be the easiest transition for him, right? He knows who he is. Obviously, he's aware of him. So that's a guy that I try to show him. I try and show him some of the less serious stuff as well, if that makes sense. Like the
No, for
Orange
sure.
Cassidy's of the world.
Yeah.
They just because that stuff kind of like as he's obviously aware that what wrestling is and is as much entertainment as it is, physical ability. So I try and show him some of the funnier stuff. And one of his favorite things that I've showed him is the Jay Lethal Ric Flair woo off promo.
Okay.
From TNA back in the, he loves that. That's his favorite. He says he'll still watch that at least once a week. So some of the lighter stuff too. It's tough to like really give them anybody who doesn't watch a full gauge of it, right?
Yeah. One of the other formats we do on this podcast is I always like introduce people who aren't initiated wrestling fans themselves to watch a wrestling match with me. And like, I always got to gravitate towards the comedy, man, because, respect to like the Kenny Omegas and the Rainmaker Okadas, like it's the Orange Cassidys and it's the Danhausens who are making new wrestling fans. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, that's how you get, because I mean, if you're watching good wrestling, but you don't watch wrestling, you don't really know that it's good, right? Like it can look great and you'll be impressed by it, but you don't appreciate for how good it is if you haven't sat through a couple stinkers in the past as well. So you're bang on. It's the entertainment stuff to get them in and then start to appreciate what wrestling can be, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Toby watched it as a kid and then he kind of like drifted out. I imagine you were watching as a kid like myself and then just, hung around a little while.
Yeah, for me, it started out as the for lack of a better term, the forbidden fruit, I guess. I wasn't allowed to watch it because I was in the Attitude Era. I was young enough that it wasn't for kids my age, according to at least my mom. But that was the first time that my dad was kind of like, "Okay, don't tell your mom, but let's go watch some wrestling," sort of thing. And honestly, those are some of the best memories ever of just like I remember The Rock doing his thing back then and just absolutely loving everything that he did. And everybody from I mean, that era was just the sneakiness, I guess, was what got me into it. And eventually my mom did come around. I was like, all right, you're super into it. Just watch it, whatever, but don't do the moves. And of course you might have done the moves here and there, but no, it's just, from a kid I was hooked and I've loved it ever since.
The old don't try this at home, doesn't work from mom, doesn't work from the WWE packages.
Yeah,
we tried it at home, we all did.
And it went from I think don't try it at home to okay, don't try it on real people at home. Here's a big stuffed toy, take it on the trampoline and do a couple pile drivers, but don't do it to your real friends because that's not good. Okay, good enough, we'll do tag matches against the stuffed bunnies. So
that's fair middle ground. That's good compromise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good negotiation. According to your profile over on the Bear website itself, one of your likes includes a very well delivered Stone Cold Stunner. So aside from Stone Cold Steve Austin himself, obviously, favorite stunners, who do you got?
Weirdly enough, I mean, the Scott Hall one, which it ties into pretty much every conversation we've had so far because it's Scott Hall and because it's over the top entertaining.
Sure.
The one that he had was it WrestleMania that he did that massive jump back?
Yep. The Nestea plunge, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Yeah. Nestea plunge. I like that. What a pull that is. Obviously, I mean, The Rock had apparently they would have bets for beer about how much he could sell and back and roll on it.
Yeah.
And, Vince was never good at it, but you loved watching it happen to him. You know what I mean? Like he I don't think he ever once sold it properly, but it was always a pleasure to see him take, right?
Especially that first one, like the big iconic Madison Square Garden one. Yes. He just kind of like collapses this into like this little heap.
Yeah. Like folds in half essentially. I think Shane, and I'm probably wrong on this, but I think Shane's the first one that I remember anyway to do the drink of beer and then spit upon taking it. That was always a great thing to see too.
Oh yeah. Like you look at some of like the freeze frames of that and some of it's just like a Renaissance painting.
It is. Yeah. It's true art.
Absolutely. Spencer Love sent me on this lead about this question, but I couldn't really dig too much about it. I couldn't find too much information. He says there's a photo that exists of you doing some guest ring announcing at a WWE house show.
This is true.
Yeah. How did that opportunity find you?
Through the radio station.
Okay, makes sense.
The morning show the morning show host that's been here well before I was ever on the Bear. His name is Yukon Jack. Also a massive wrestling fan. There's three of us on the station. Myself, previously mentioned Scott McCord, and Yukon Jack. That he's a big fan and has, interviewed several of the wrestlers throughout the years as they come through and made connections. And weirdly enough, that was my birthday that they were running a house show here. And I get a call, like, as we're getting to the arena, he goes, "Hey, do you want to intro the show with me?" And I was like, yes, but no, like, I'm terrified of that. Are you kidding me? Like, this is awesome. So we did it. And I remember we had kind of a thing. So he likes to play the heel. Yukon likes to be the heel. He wants to get booed out there because that's fun, right? So he told me this whole thing that we were going to do where I was going to present him as, he calls himself the mayor of Mill Woods, which is kind of a suburb of Edmonton. And he wanted me to present him as the better than everybody else sort of thing. So we did that. And of course, people start booing. But as we're about to go out, because he's done this in the past, he turns around and looks at me. And probably because I was ear to ear, he goes, "No smiling allowed." And I was like, "Oh, right. We gotta be mean," sort of thing. But it was one of the cool, like, Chris Jericho ended up walking up and, like, giving us a tap on the shoulder as we're about to go out, just to say, like, "You guys intro on the show? Cool. Like, give him hell out there," whatever. And I'm like, like, totally fangirling, right? Just like Arn Anderson is 10 feet to the left of us at that time, and, like, just eyes wide as anything. But yeah, that was one of the coolest things that I've ever gotten to do. Absolutely.
Right on. Aside from Jericho and Arn Anderson, rubbing shoulders with anyone else backstage?
I don't think that we ran into anybody. I mean, Tony Chimmel was the guy that we got to walk out there with, which honestly was a tremendous highlight for me, because my favorite wrestler of all time is Edge, and the obvious connection of him to Edge with the Rated R Superstar was, like, one of the coolest things ever. So I was, I remember another thing I remember too, I'm a big Red Sox fan. So I was wearing my Red Sox hat that night, and apparently Tony Chimmel's a big Mets fan. And he said, as we're about to go out there, he goes, "Okay, no swearing, make sure you have fun, keep it quick, because we don't got a lot of time. Oh, and take that stupid effing hat off," he says. And I was like, he's like, "I'm kidding, I'm a Mets fan, but seriously, that's garbage." And I was like, "Okay, sorry, sir." Like,
oh man, too funny. Yeah. Chimmel's Edge, that's just iconic in its own right, and certainly, oh man, sorry,
I'm more and more ridiculous over time too, right? Like, once Edge made it a thing, then it became a thing that he, like, was it his Hall of Fame ceremony too that he came out and just dragged it on and on and on?
I think Beth Phoenix did the honors of introducing Tony Chimmel to help induct Edge.
That's right. Yeah, incredible.
Excellent stuff. So, aside from announcing, doing the ring announcing for a show, I also understand, according to your most recent Instagram post, that it was something of a dream to get involved in wrestling commentary, and you have the opportunity this coming Friday, one day after this broadcast of Smark Friends, with Change the Game. So, how did that opportunity find you?
Well, myself and Spencer, we go way back, like we played, I think the first time, and God, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but I think where we first connected was we played hockey together in minor hockey when we would have been like 7 or 8, probably, like little kids. I think his dad was a coach. My dad was a coach. Like, it was just one of those things. And then we grew up just outside of Edmonton. So, I mean, I call it the smallest big town in the world, because it's not huge, but there's a lot of people living there, but you can't go anywhere without seeing somebody, and you just keep tabs on everybody, and you're still in your kind of tight-knit groups. So we kind of just grew up together. And then when this whole thing came about, he asked me to do it, and I was like, yes, 1,000 times yes, because obviously with knowing that I wanted to be a broadcaster from a young age, as much as I loved watching the athletes, I loved listening to the likes of Jim Ross and Michael Cole, and the voices, and listening to how crucial they are to the whole sport, that they have to paint this picture as much as it is the guys in the ring. They're telling the story with their voices as well, and I always thought that was such a cool thing to be a part of it, and to not get punched in the face and slammed on your back a bunch of times as well. So definitely a lifelong dream that is still kind of a thing that I can't believe is really going to happen. Also, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
It's an exciting exciting opportunity for this kind of thing. Like what you mentioned Jim Ross, you mentioned a lot of the greats of pro wrestling commentary. Are there any you might be studying or drawing inspiration from for going in to change the game?
I have definitely gone back and watched a lot of older Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan era stuff, just because, I mean, as a duo, the chemistry there, untouched.
Unmatched, yeah.
King and JR were great, but, I mean, those two were both of them so fast. Monsoon was just such a great straight guy to Heenan's like heel persona and everything that he was. It was just the best duo for sure. But I probably I've taken a lot of kind of everybody. I'm a big fan of Mauro Ranallo as well.
Oh yeah,
be it for wrestling or MMA or boxing, whatever. Just as a commentator, the excitement that he brings out of himself when he's even like physically too, when he's standing up and losing his mind and he's screaming and he cares about it and there's passion there. And what I like about him a lot too is he's not afraid to like try and tie things in. Sometimes a little too much, but he's not afraid to go for it, and that's what I like. Yeah. So I'm trying to kind of take bits and pieces from everybody that I've liked and kind of Frankenstein together what I think is the best parts of all of them. But in no way do I think I will live up to that expectation. So don't set your hopes too high.
Hey, it's just drawing inspiration from it. I mean, like those are some high benchmarks you just raised. But certainly, you know, we're still looking forward to it. And again, you might be new to this, but like you are in good hands with the team that you're working alongside. You're of course working alongside Thaddeus Archer III and Alexia Nicole. How's it been working with them so far?
Great. I'm very excited for it. It'll be my first time getting to work with Alexia. I've done some stuff with Thaddeus in the past. He is obviously lives here in Edmonton as well, so I've been aware of his antics and the things that he gets up to. He's a big fan of the radio station as well, so he's constantly texting and calling and stuff. He put together so this is kind of where the heat started between us, and I shouldn't even do quotes because it's not heat, it's real heat. He put together this, like, I think it was a birthday package for the morning show, the anniversary of their show, whatever. And he came in and brought them a couple gifts or whatever. And it was like, I don't know, like a charcuterie board and little things. And he brought in this live, laugh, love sign that is like literally like the most basic like thing that it's exactly what you think. Piece of wood, you hang it and it says live, laugh, love with the ampersand between each one. And it just like, why? And he's like, well, I thought it was the right kind of cheesy. And I'm like, that is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, I think that was in the studio for about a week. They actually hung it up. And I finally was just like, no, we're not doing this. All right. This is a rock station, damn it. Like, I'm not coming in to live, laugh, love every day. So that's why if anybody's been following our interactions on Twitter, he's been hitting me with a lot of live, laugh, love. And that's where that comes from, is that stupid godforsaken sign that he brought.
A live, laugh, love plaque sounds like it'd make for a pretty solid foreign object. I don't want to put any ideas in anyone's head, but
it's not bad, actually. It was pretty good. It was bulky too, so you could do some damage with it. And the poetry really of live, laugh, love being used for violence is kind of nice too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I like that.
Really solid juxtaposition. And like, exactly. My grandmother had one in her home, and it was like a big solid piece of very ornate wood. So yeah, you could do some damage, I think.
Mm-hmm. I like the idea.
Now let's talk about the card for a little bit, because like Love Wrestling, Force Pro Wrestling, they've put together a pretty solid indie show for Change the Game. Michael Richard Blaze versus Ravenous Randy Myers. We got Nicole Matthews versus Ava Lawless. What are you looking forward to?
I mean, you can't beat that main event. I mean, it's kind of a cool thing for me too, because I haven't really I haven't really traveled outside of Alberta for independent wrestling. So there's a lot of names on here because it's showcasing talent from all across Canada. That there's a lot of names that I've never gotten the chance to see before as well. So there's every match is going to be something for me personally to look forward to, because there's an element of either something that I don't know or somebody that I do know that I really like, that I'm looking forward to see what they're going to bring to the table. And I mean, it sounds like a cheesy cop-out answer, but for real, like top to bottom, I think this thing looks incredible. And from what I've seen from even the people that I don't or haven't seen work in the past, it looks. I'm so stoked, man. Like they've done such a good job of building this thing and bringing in the people that I think it's going to be fantastic.
I think you said it best, man. It's a great card, and I think any wrestling fan is going to be looking forward to see it, which of course they can check out at twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca if they're not, of course, in the Edmonton area. I know we sold out tickets at one point, but I know that the Rec Room opened up a few more. Don't know if we sold out for a second time, but plenty of opportunity to check out this show. Now, again, Warren, you've been a fan for a very long time. You know how these wrestling shows can go. I know you said, like, from the commentary desk, you don't have to worry about taking any bumps or anything, but, let's just say a wrestler decides that you looked at them the wrong way and they're ready to throw hands. Are you ready? Live, laugh, pluck aside or not?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to live, laugh, run away. that would be my course of action. Would be either fetal position and pretend like you're dead, like it's a bear attack, or just turn around and hightail out of there. I hadn't thought about that, but now that you mention it, now I'm going to be worried about making any sort of eye contact with any of the wrestlers. So I'm going to be doing this awkward, like, yep, oh, my eyes are down here now. I'm not looking at you at all. No, because now I don't want you to punch me in the face. So
I'm sure there are some sanctions in place to keep it protected. So I don't want to. I feel like
Thaddeus is going to be there too, and we all know about him and his big mouth. So I mean, anything could happen. I will be keeping my guard up. That's something to definitely keep in mind.
Excellent. Warren Diesel Barris, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today about all things Change the Game and a little bit about your work in radio on the Bear in Edmonton. Before I let you go, please take the time to let the audience know where to follow you on social media and any other important links that might be important.
You can follow me at the Diesel Barris. It's the same on all of them. I have even a TikTok, but I don't really use it, but I have it. So it's there if you want to follow me there. If you want to listen to my radio program, you are welcome to. If you are in Canada, unfortunately, we don't get into the States because the rules are weird. But we're on iHeart. So if you search 100.3 The Bear on iHeart, you can find it there. Or our website is thebearrocks.com. We're on Monday to Friday, 3 until 7 local Mountain Standard Time, which would be 5 to 9 Eastern. Is that right?
5 to sorry, can you repeat the 2 hours ahead? Yes.
7 is
correct.
5 to 9, right?
Yeah,
nailed
correct.
it. So if you want to listen, that's great. If not, don't blame me, because we're a couple of idiots and we pretty much just tell fart jokes for 4 hours. So I don't blame you for not wanting to listen. But man, thanks for having me on here. It's been an absolute blast. I can't wait for the show. Absolutely.
Well, again, fart jokes are what got you in the door here. It's not so much the commentary. I brought you in for the fart jokes.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. We're birds of a feather then.
I will see you on Friday.
Fantastic.
Huge thank you to Warren Diesel Barris for taking the time to talk to me. We're recording this on Tuesday night, which means we're only a couple days away from Change the Game. So I imagine he was very busy. All the same, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. So close to Change the Game. As far as the event goes, as we mentioned numerous times, if you're not in the Edmonton area or you don't have the tickets, you can, of course, tune in at twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca. Anyone can watch. You don't have to be a follower or a subscriber, but if you want to participate in the live chat, you have to be a subscriber. So if you ever thought about maybe subscribing to Love Wrestling on Twitch, this is the month to do so. I surely recommend it because we produce great content, at least content that we're very proud of, and we're hoping you're enjoying as well. You can follow the show on Twitter at Smark and Friends, and you can follow myself at Smark Mouth. You can also follow me on Instagram at smark.mouth, and you can follow at Love Wrestling CA on Facebook, on Twitch, obviously on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Thanks so much for listening. Oh, and I almost forgot one more thing. Of course, if you really like what you heard, you should head over to ratethispodcast.com/lovewrestlingca. You won't be reviewing or rating just the Smark and Friends podcast. You're going to be rating all the work done at Love Wrestling and being done very proudly. So check it out. Please do so. Means the world to myself and the rest of the Love Wrestling team. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. However you enjoyed the Smark Friends podcast today, please tune in on twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca for Change the Game tomorrow night. Oh my goodness, tomorrow night. This is very exciting. I'm of course saying tomorrow night, referring to myself in the recorded version, not when I'm actually recording, which is Tuesday night. So bit of a meta time warp thing happening there. Thanks for indulging me on that one. Smark and Friends is back next week. Till then, friends.